Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Design Simply. My name is Sena, and today I thought I would check out some new antique shops that I haven't visited before. I headed all the way out to Bruma. For some reason, I thought this was still in the East Strand, but now I'm not too sure. But anyway, the first stop I went to had some really beautiful pieces, a lot of mid-century stuff, a lot of rattan as well. So I thought this little side table was quite cute, but checking the price, I'm not too sure. I also thought this bar stool was cute, and I absolutely fell in love with this coffee table. I mean, it had quite a few marks on it, which told that it was quite old, but I just love the detailing of it. Another thing that I just could not stop thinking about, I suppose, with these mid-century chairs currently going for 800 each. I just really love the arms. I think that's what sold it for me. Also saw this rattan side table, and I noticed that the middle was kind of damaged, so the owner was willing to sell that stone top with it, which I thought added a nice little contrast. But really, what I loved were these chairs. I thought they were so beautiful, but hey, I could not afford them, unfortunately. Antiquing is not for the faint-hearted. So moving my way inside the store, I did see some pretty vases and some rather expensive dinner sets. Like I said, antiquing is just on another level. I also fell in love with this vase. I thought it was so intricate. It had so much detail on it. Currently going for 700. And then I saw this blue vase, which I honestly thought was a little bit standard, but just wait for the price. Yep. They also had some vinyls, which I thought was pretty cool, a huge selection, and more beautiful vases to look at and admire from a distance. They also had a really beautiful selection of lampshades, quite unusual shapes that I don't think you get to see all that often, which is what I really appreciate about antiquing, as well as this really awkward looking but beautiful teapot. Yeah, I've never seen that before, so that was pretty cool. So one thing I really love about antiquing is that you get to see really unique and beautiful pieces. I also love checking out the crystalware. I saw this decanter, miniature decanter. I thought it was probably like the most stylish, beautiful thing I've seen in a while. So I thought that was really pretty. Not only was some of the prices here really expensive, but guys, please, 24K for an occasional chair. I don't know, levels that one can only aspire to. I spotted this frame which had some artwork on it. I thought it was so beautiful, so heavily detailed. I mean, I love all the detailing and a lot of the things that I saw here. These chandeliers are a definite eye catch. Also love this little study set up situation. I thought it was so beautiful, and just the whole thing was top notch. Also, can we just take a moment to appreciate all these beautiful vases that they have in here? I absolutely fell in love with most of the things that I saw. It's the detailing, it's the color combination. It's just things that I haven't seen before, which is what I really loved and really excited me. I mean, look at the drama of this vase. I mean, it's just so classy. So if you are in Joburg, definitely come check out Bruma because they have a whole bunch of shops and reupholstery to check out. So guys, we're finally back to my natural habitat, which is a thrift store. This is where I'm currently at. I really loved this new place that I found in Edenville. They had a huge selection. I saw this picture frame and I thought the detailing of it was really, really beautiful. I mean, it's so intricate, but one thing that I will always gravitate towards when thrifting is glassware. I'm really on the lookout for something unique. So I thought these had great potential, but they just weren't quite there for me. But yeah, if you guys are ever thrifting, I always recommend just checking out some glassware because you tend to find some really classic pieces that are good to last you a lifetime. One thing I absolutely regret not buying was this piece right here. I mean, 30 Rand, I honestly think I'm gonna go back for it. It was just so cheap, and I can imagine myself putting jewelry in there. Another thing that I found really striking was this lamp. I don't know, I just lost my word there for a second. But look at the drama of this lampshade and the pieces up there. So, like I said, this goodies secondhand shop has so much to offer, from furniture to lighting to these really huge jugs, which I think will work well as vases as well. They were a little bit pricey. I think 250 is a bit much as a second-hand piece. But yeah, I saw this one for 60 Rand and I knew I just had to grab it because it's so beautiful. The shape has so much potential. I also saw this that I really liked as well, but it came as a set of five, and I don't know. I don't think it was worth it really. But one thing that I wish they weren't selling as a set is this little stool. I can really picture this just with a good sanding, probably painted black because that would just give it a really beautiful contrast. But yeah, I don't know. Just ugh, they just sold so many things in sets. I wish they hadn't. So what I noticed about this thrift store is that they had a lot of hand painted vases, which I think were quite beautiful, but because they were hand painted, they were sold a little bit more expensive. I also saw this little lampshade. It's pure marble, so it's super super heavy, but it was only like 90 Rand, which is really affordable and it's just so beautifully detailed. Another thing I regretted not buying was this vase glass canister, sorry. I mean, it was only what, 20 Rand? But yeah, like I said, the store has so much to offer. A lot of furniture, like a lot of furniture, quite reasonably priced, and they also offer lay-by. Okay, so it's time for some final thoughts, and just to kind of get a good understanding between what is the difference between thrifting and antiquing. I took down some notes. So our first note is, with thrift stores, there's a little bit more, I don't know how to put it in a nice way, but there's a little bit more junk to sort out. So with thrift stores, you'll find almost everything there, and sometimes it's not always coordinated well. So you have to like really sort throughout a lot of things. Some of it is just really not even valuable. Some of it really is not valuable, it's just junk. Whereas with antique stores, you'll find these items are a little bit more curated, they're vintage or they're antique. And I actually really recently learned something, that in order for something to be antique, it actually has to be over 100 years. And for it to be vintage, I think it has to be more than 20 years. Yeah, I think 20 to 50 is vintage, and then 50 to 100 is pure vintage, and then 100 plus is antique. So if you are just looking about, not really sure what you're looking for, just looking for things to add to your space, I would say perhaps go thrifting. But if you're a little bit more intentional on what you're looking for, then I would definitely say go antiquing. Second point is when you go to thrifting, when you go to thrift stores, you generally tend to pay less. Did I just say tend? Okay, you generally tend, what? Why do I feel like I don't have English today? Okay, when you go to thrift stores, you are more guaranteed to pay less because the items are generally second-hand. Sometimes the thrift store owner is not even that sure on like how valuable the item might be, so you're more likely to pay less at a thrift store. Not even more likely, you're guaranteed to pay less at a thrift store. And then when you go antiquing, you most likely will pay more just because the items are considered to be much greater value. Also with antique stores, there's a little bit more information about the items that you are purchasing, so the store owner will know a little bit of the history behind this item, because there's a level of curation there's a bit of storytelling, and that's what also makes the items valuable. Whereas at a thrift store, you go there and then the owner won't, like, they don't really have anything to say because so much inventory just gets put onto their laps, whether it be a charity store that gets in a lot of donations, so they don't really have time to say, oh, this is pretty, what's the history behind this, what's the story behind this. So you pay more, you also pay for the story, but yeah, you will pay more at an antique store versus thrifting. And then my third note over here is actually linked to the first note. So at a thrift store, they are a lot more firm on the pricing, so there's just no room to negotiate most times, just because items are really priced quite low, so you can't really negotiate your way. This is not true for all stores. Some store owners will allow you to like try your luck, but generally you cannot negotiate a price. Whereas in an antique store, if you just speak to the store owner, you really love this, I'm sure you can finesse your way to a little bargain. It might not be the biggest bargain, but there is a little bit more room to negotiate. So that's the difference between thrifting and antiquing. Antiquing, you are able to negotiate. With thrifting, it's usually the price that you see is what you're gonna pay. Number 4, which kind of links back to our first point, is at a thrift store, they tend to be a little bit disorganized. I mean, every now and then you'll find a store that will try their best to just compartmentalize each item. So they will try and say, okay, all the homewares on this side, the clothes are there. But generally, it's just a little bit of a mess. Some of the items aren't even clean. Some items sit on the shelf for a really long time, so they start to collect dust. And you know, it's not the most pleasurable experience to go shopping at. This is not true for all thrift stores, of course, but yeah, like there's just a lot more sorting that you yourself have to do. Sometimes you miss items just because they're all piled up on top. So if you're going thrifting, just be patient, look through everything, make sure you're getting into the corners of each shelf, that you're finding what you're looking for, and don't be afraid or don't be discouraged by doing perhaps another lap, because you might find that you've actually missed items just because of the way that they sort it out. Whereas in antique stores, you know, it's a lot more organized. It's even set up, so you might see like a little dining table set where you see what's on sale. It almost looks like a department store, so that's what I appreciate about antiquing, and it kind of gives you a little bit of a better shopping experience. So when you get in there, you know exactly where's what. It's nicely put, you're less likely to miss something because everything is just out on display in a nice way that you can sort out. Oftentimes there's less items in an antique store just because of that curation. So yeah, if you're going for more, definitely go to a thrift store. But if you're really going for that something special, unique, and you're willing to pay, then definitely go to an antique store. Also, there's more value in antiquing in terms of the resale value. If ever you find something and it's actually more of an investment for you, then yeah, there's more value in the resale. Those are pretty much the basics and the differences, the main differences between thrifting and antiquing. Yeah, so usually thrift stores will be cheaper. They're known to be cheaper because it's a lot of secondhand, it's a lot of donated items, it's a lot of maybe items that were recalled from stores. So, but every now and then you might find something to be a little bit overpriced, and you're just like, man, no. This is a thrift store, why are you pricing it this way? But generally things are well priced, very, very cheap. So if you are someone who is looking into vintage or just finding unique items and you don't really know where to start or how to start, I really hope that this video was helpful. I also have a whole bunch of content on thrifting because that is something I love to do. Even if I don't need anything, I just find myself crawling up to a thrift store. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and thank you so much for returning. To all those who are subscribed, and those who are not subscribed, please do hit the subscribe button and the like button, and I'll see you all on the next one. Bye.